Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be showing you how to use an Excel if function. In this example, we are required to calculate a class performance. To accomplish this task, we will use a function in this video, which is part 1, and the Countif function, which is the part 2 of this video. So ensure that you watch both videos. It's going to be very useful in connecting the dots when seeking how compatible these two functions are. Now what you're seeing here on my screen is a table showing students' names and their corresponding marks. What I have in this column are students' class marks. In the next column are their exam marks. In this column, I have each student's final mark. In this video, we want to know the students that passed and those that failed. We will obtain this by making use of an if function. Now, if you go look at this mini table here, we can see that a final mark that is greater or equal to 50% is declared a pass. A final mark otherwise is regarded as a fail. This is the column where we will perform our if function. To do that, we're going to click on this cell. When it's active, put an equal sign and type if. Then it will automatically show up. Then double click on it to select it. From here we can see our if function is active and it only has 3 attributes: the logical test, a value if true, and value if false. Let's start by logical test. Logical test is basically a criteria that you assign a function to work based on. What is it actually that you want the function to go look for? In our case, it's a final mark that is greater or equal to 50%. Then I'm going to close this section by putting a semicolon, and I'm going to open quotation marks. Then I'm at the value if true section. Now in this section, if function is asking you what is it actually that you want a function to display if this criteria is met. In other words, what is that you want a function to display in this cell if it does find a final mark that is greater or equal to 50%. In this case, I want it to display a pass. Then I'm going to close my quotation marks and put a separator. Then I'm going to open another quotation mark. Then I made the value if false. In this section, if function is asking me what is it that I want a function to display in this cell if it does find a value but it's not greater or equal to 50%. In this case, I want it to display a fail in this cell. Then I'm going to close my quotation mark and close my function by putting closing bracket and press enter. Now from here we can see if function displayed a pass next to the student because the final mark for the student is 69%, that is greater than 50%. We need to do this for the rest of the students. We're going to click on the cell where we initially performed the if function and go to this small box at the corner and double click on it. It's going to copy and fill the results for all of the students. Now if we look at the second student, we can see that if function displayed a fail next to the student because the mark that the student got as the final mark is less than 50%, that is 49%. That's why the student failed. Now if you're wondering how I calculated my final mark, it's easy. If you go look at the purple table here, we can see from this table that the DP only contributes 40% toward the final mark and an exam mark only contributes 60% towards the final mark. So you're gonna take a DP mark and multiply by 40% and take an exam mark and multiply by 60%. Then you're gonna sum the two results. Now our if function has showed us which students failed and which students passed. The outstanding part of our task is to determine how many students passed and how many failed. This will help us determine the class performance. In part 2, we will see how we can make use of Excel function to calculate it rather than wasting time calculating it manually. So that's it from my side for this video. I'll see you in part 2.